Miss Smith, Wynn Smith, and I actually work for Care House. I gave you the handout, and it's got our name and logo at the top. We're actually a child advocacy center. We provide counseling services for children who are victims of either severe physical abuse or sexual abuse. My job, though, at Care House is in prevention. I don't want bad things to happen to you, so I go into the schools. I do a puppet show for first grade. I do internet safety for several grades, and that's what I'm here today to talk to you about internet safety. The handout that I gave you, the program that I'm going to show you is actually Net Smartz, and that's the top website on your list. Actually, nsteens.org, the second website, that's Net Smartz Teens. That's actually where this came from, but that's a part of Net Smartz. If you have younger brothers or sisters, Net Smartz Kids is real good. A lot of games they can play, activities and so forth, safety tips. Other than that, the other website on this list that I really think is important, I mean, all of them are good, but it's also publicandpermanent.com. And I really hope you'll take some time not only to check out Net Smartz further, but also look at that website. The creator of that website is trying to teach people to realize that everything you do using technology, whether it's a cell phone, a smartphone, a laptop, computer, even a digital camera, everything is permanent. Even when you delete things from a file from a laptop or delete a picture off a memory card and a digital camera, it's really still there. And I'll talk about that more during the presentation. And it can be public because anybody could see it. Like I said, I'll refer to that a little bit more later in the presentation. Of course, keep in mind, if it's on the internet, it's not private. No matter how you set your privacy settings, people could actually have access to it, so be aware of that. How many in here have Facebook? Okay, real popular nowadays. Have to raise my hand also. The bottom website, wolframalpha.com. If you actually go to that site, there's a search line. You can type in Facebook report. Then you have to log in with your username and password, but you can actually pull up a report of everything that's ever happened on your Facebook account. You get all sorts of charts and graphs and pie charts about how long you've been on the internet, when you're on it the most, what time of day, you know, and so forth. It'll tell you, I have a pie chart comparing how many boys you have as friends and how many girls. It'll even tell you the most popular first name of your friends on your friends list, the most popular last name. It'll give you a chart by age, how many, what's the age of all your friends that are on Facebook. It's really interesting. But it's kind of interesting to know that there's a record of everything you've done on Facebook. It'll even show you which words you use most frequently when you make comments on Facebook. So it's, it's there. You can see it. And keep in mind, too, that Facebook, they archive all of their information that's put on Facebook. Even if you post a picture or comment, decided you didn't like it or whatever, wanted to delete it, Facebook still has a record of it. So, just be aware of that. Okay? They keep records and archives of everything that happens. On the back of your paper, this is just some general information about some of the social networking sites, Facebook in general. Just be careful what you post, pictures, comments, and so forth. But also know that the bottom right corner talks about some of the ads or the apps that you click on some of the social networking sites, even some of the games that you might play. I know Facebook has a lot of games you can play. Just be aware that when you click on those, it will send your personal information, whatever you put on your profile page, it sends that information to businesses. So just be aware of that and be careful what you do put on your profile page. You might start getting all sorts of emails, spam, and so forth, trying to sell you stuff or whatever, depending on what ads or apps you click on or some of the games you play. This program that I'm going to show you is the latest version from Net Smartz, but this was actually published in 2011, and it doesn't have anything to do with Instagram, because I know that's real popular nowadays. How many of y'all use Instagram? Yeah, it's, things are always changing with technology, and this hasn't caught up with it yet. I'll probably get a new version soon, but, like I said, it's always changing. Now, I'm not here today to tell you what to do and what not to do, but I just want to make you aware of some things so that you can make smart choices. when you're using technology. You can make the right choice not only to keep yourself safe, but actually to keep yourself out of some really serious trouble. And I'll talk about that more in the presentation. Okay, this is your life nowadays using technology. I know all of you have used Google. Hardly can't get on the internet without Googling something or using Bing or some sort of search engine. Of course, a lot of you said you had Facebook or use Instagram, any other social networking sites. How many of you download music from the internet? Okay, MP3 players and all that sort of stuff. I know Pandora is real popular nowadays. If it's a site where you can actually download music, burn it to a CD, and especially if you sell that CD, which was real popular years ago, that's pirating. That's illegal. Okay, you just need to know that. If it's a legitimate website and you either pay for the music or you can download it for free or just listen to it just like you turn on the radio and listen to music, that's okay. But if you're trying to profit from it, you can get into some serious trouble. Okay? And of course YouTube, I'm sure you've all seen videos from YouTube and so forth. Very good. Technology is wonderful. I can't imagine life without it, even though I used to live before we had technology. But there are a lot of risky things that kids are doing nowadays using technology. Of course, sending mean messages, cyberbullying. I'll talk about that in the presentation. Sending or posting revealing pictures, child pornography. I'll talk about that some more in just a minute. Of course, talking to people that you don't know or talking about sex. All of these are risky decisions that kids are making nowadays, and you need to be aware that you can suffer some consequences for some of these actions. There again, I just want to make you aware, you know, it's your laptop, it's your smartphone. You have the choice of what you do with it, okay? Just make smart choices. Oops, let me back it up just a second. This next video is just a little YouTube video showing why you need to be careful what you post on the internet.
This is how it feels.
Now that I'm done with high school, everyone wants to know, what college am I going to? It's a mystery. No, but seriously, I can't tell you guys. Why? Because I got some pretty creepy emails like this one. Hey, Kev Jumba, this is Emily. I really want to know what college you're going to because I'm applying for school soon and it'd be so cool if we were at the same college together. So you should tell me. I'm not a stalker or anything, I promise. Whoa, you're not fooling me. You're not fooling me, Emily. Just because you say you're not a stalker doesn't mean you're not a stalker. That's like me asking someone, hey, where do you live? What's your address and your zip code? Oh, don't worry. I'm not trying to stalk you or anything.
Sure, he's not trying to stalk them, just wants to know where they live and all this sort of stuff. I actually had a girl at one of the other schools tell me she did end up with a stalker. She had accepted a guy as a friend on Facebook, really didn't know him, but still accepted him. She had a part-time job at the Eastern Shore Center. One day, and she just made that comment, well, I got a job at such and such store. One night before she went to work, she just made a casual posting like anybody might say, well, I got to go to work tonight, boo, or something like that. Anyway, this guy came up to meet her, actually came to the store to meet her. Knew her name, of course, knew what she looked like. And you know how sometimes when you meet somebody and you get a weird feeling like something's just not right about this person? Well, he actually ended up several times when she would go to work, he would show up just watching her. Even when she left at night, her mother had to pick her up. It got to the point that they had to pick a different place at the Eastern Shore Center so her mother could pick her up to try to avoid from seeing this guy because he would just all the time watching her, you know, stalking her. But she gave him all the information he needed to be able to find her. So just be aware of that when you post certain things or accept friends on Facebook, that there can be consequences to it. You see the comment here? How many of you know what Mary Jane stands for? Okay, what is it? Anybody?
Marijuana.
Exactly, marijuana. This is actually a true posting. And you see the comment there from the police? Thanks for the tip. This guy actually got arrested because of this comment. Exactly, yeah. In fact, if you go to Google and just Google something like people arrested because of Facebook, you would be amazed at how many people have posted pictures or made comments that actually got them arrested. I was checking that the other day and I saw where a guy actually got arrested for DUI because he was bragging about driving drunk. The police didn't catch him while he was drunk and driving, but he admitted it on Facebook and he got arrested. Okay, this actually gave the police probable cause to search his, get a warrant, search his closet, and sure enough, he did have marijuana growing in there, and he did get arrested. You know, think about stuff like that. Exactly, yeah, not very smart. Okay? This is a situation where a teenager actually got expelled from school for a comment that he made. And actually, the interesting thing about this is he was actually at home when he posted this comment. But it can affect you at school in certain circumstances. The bottom paragraph says, after weeks butting heads with his coaches, Taylor, 17, logged on to this site from home January the 3rd. He typed his frustration for the online world to see, and this is what he said. He was mad at his coaches and so forth. He said, I'm going to kill them all. I'm going to bust this blank up from the inside like nobody's ever done before. He was actually threatening his coach. And like I said, not only did, it wasn't just suspended, he was actually expelled from school and obviously kicked off that team for saying this. If you make threats in writing, you can have some very serious consequences. You could actually be arrested for harassment. Putting it in writing, they can show that to the police, possibly arrest you for harassment. So just be aware of that. If you send, for example, a message to someone that says, I'm going to beat you up after school, even if you were joking, but if they really thought you were going to beat them up and they were in fear of that, technically that could be grounds to have you arrested for harassment. So, be aware of that. Make smart choices. Once again, people getting in trouble because of comments. Obviously, somebody saying something ugly about their boss, called him a jerk. Look at the comment. I guess you forgot you added me here. You're fired. Happens all the time. Once again, go to Google. People fired for Facebook comments. Pages and pages of people that got arrested. I actually saw a posting or a comment that somebody had made after the last presidential election. They obviously were mad that Obama got reelected. They said some very ugly things about him, called him a very ugly name, posted it on there, even said that he should be assassinated. Well, needless to say, she definitely lost her job, and her employer was, trying to get the word out to everybody that was her, that had nothing to do with the business and so forth, to try to, keep themselves out of trouble. But also, this girl got a visit from the Secret Service. Big Brother is watching. You say something ugly about the president, especially that you wish somebody would kill him or that he would be assassinated or something like that, you might get a visit like that. They take stuff like that very serious. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay. Once again, I can't say it enough. Be careful with the friends that you accept on some of the social networking sites, especially Facebook. Anybody could put a picture and a name and say, they're somebody. So make sure that you really know that person, and that is who they say, that picture and so forth. Just like the example of the girl that ended up with a stalker. Accepted this guy as a friend and didn't really know him and kind of wish she had not done that. Okay. How many of you play online games like Xbox Live or PlayStation or whatever? Okay, I was here yesterday and did this lesson for the boys in PE. Of course, just about all of them raised their hand. You can't always control who you're playing against, and you certainly can't control what they're saying. If you have the headsets where you can communicate back and forth, but you can choose to ignore them. If they're saying ugly things, just simply mute it. Get off the game or whatever, come back and play it later. You have that choice. You don't have to listen to that. As far as Facebook is concerned, and really all of the social networking sites, there's always some sort of a privacy setting. Make sure, especially on Facebook, that you have it set to friends only. That means only your friends can see what's on your Facebook page. There's a setting, I don't know if you can see it, it says friends of friends. Even that's not safe, because that means friends on your friends list can see what's on your profile or see your comments and so forth. Of course, you can set it to where everybody can see it, and that's certainly not recommended. Okay, friends only is the best setting, and check that frequently. Facebook is all the time making changes to their programs, and it's been known to change the privacy settings accidentally. That happened not too long ago. So check it every now and then, and they change those settings sometimes where you can set it different ways. I think just recently they added a new feature where you could have it where you could not be tagged in pictures and so forth, or comments. You can also set it so that your comments can't be shared by other people and so forth. So just check that every now and then, and make sure that yours is set to the most private setting. But do know that even if it's friends only, other people might have access to it. If somebody does copy a picture or copy a comment and post it somewhere else, well, you've lost complete control of it. So just be aware of that and make smart choices. Once again, be careful pictures that you post. Like I said, a lot of people have gotten arrested for things that they posted. I saw on the news not too long ago where a young mother allowed her 2-year-old toddler to play with drug paraphernalia. Took a picture of it, put it on Facebook. Bam, of course she got arrested. You know, so just there's some people out there that don't make very smart choices. Sexting. This is a very serious problem, not only in the middle school but the high schools, and I've heard of cases where it's actually gotten down to 5th and 6th grade. Very, very serious problem, and I get the reactions all the time by teenagers saying, everybody does it, what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal, especially in Alabama. Some states have changed their sexting laws to a misdemeanor. They don't feel like teenagers should suffer possibly the rest of their life for something that they did when they were young. Not making a smart choice. $25 fine, basically a slap on the wrist. But Alabama has not changed those laws. Anybody under the age of 18 that, for example, takes a picture of themselves inappropriate, where private areas are seen in the photo, that's child pornography. That is a Class A felony in the state of Alabama. If you take a picture like that, you produce child pornography. That is a felony. If you send that picture to somebody else, or maybe somebody sends you a picture and you forward it to somebody else, you transmitted child pornography. That is a Class A felony. If you simply have a picture like that on your cell phone, you're in possession of child pornography. That is a Class A felony. Okay? Just be aware of that in Alabama it's very serious. And I actually had a resource officer tell me that if he knows that someone has a picture like that on their cell phone, he does arrest them. And then it's up to the juvenile courts as to what their punishment could be. And I actually had an assistant district attorney tell me, depending on the severity of it and how many pictures and so forth, they could possibly be treated as an adult and go through the regular court system. An adult that is in possession of child pornography, they could very possibly serve time in prison. But they definitely have to be registered as a sex offender. That's a national registry. Once an adult gets on that registry, they're there for life. They can never get taken off. It can determine what type of jobs they can have. If they do a background check, that could come up. They couldn't get a job. It definitely affects where they can live. They can't live within so many feet from a school or a daycare or a church. And if they move to a neighborhood, they're supposed to notify the sheriff's department that they're moving. Well, then the sheriff's department will notify the neighbors in that neighborhood to tell them that a sex offender just moved in there. And of course, they're not welcome, to say the least. Now, there is a sex offender registry for juveniles. It's not public like the adult registry. If you go to the Baldwin County Sheriff's website, or even our website, CareHouse, bccarehouse.org, we have a link to the sex offender registry in Baldwin County. So anybody could see the adult registry. But the juvenile, it's not public like that, but police officers and I believe the district attorney's office have access to it. And you're on that registry for 10 years. So just be aware of that. You can get into some serious trouble even though you're juveniles. I know basically the child pornography laws were originally made to protect children from adults. But, they may change those because so many children, they need to protect children from other children nowadays. So just be aware of that. It is child pornography. This next video, you see the message probably from her boyfriend, Steve. Need to see you now. Send me a hot pic. Look what happens based on the decision that she makes. Should she send it?
Yeah.
Okay, she's saying no. She made a good choice. What if she'd made a different decision? Look what happens. Should he show his friends? No. Is he going to? Probably. But she doesn't have a choice.
Check this out.
Whoa!
Oh man! Yo, send that to me real quick. I'm not gonna. Come on, send that to me.
Should he pass it on? Is he going to? Yeah.
Man, blow that full screen. Look at that, boys. Check that out, boys. I gotta send. I had to send this to Mark.
Send that out now.
I'm assuming that's her little brother that got the picture. That's kind of creepy, isn't it? That may even be her mother that got the picture. But I don't think that's her dad.
Looks like a stalker.
Exactly. It does look like a stalker. It's probably an online sex offender. Yeah. You saw that little grin on his face? Yeah. Always think before you send a picture like that, because you have no control over it once it's sent. Online offenders, they will do whatever it takes to manipulate young victims, teenagers, young children, to try to meet them offline. They will promise them the moon practically, whatever it takes to make them think that they are their very, very best friend, that nobody cares about them as much as they do. Raise your hand if you would consider him an online predator if he's trying to meet this girl offline.
Heck no.
Definitely. I mean, he even looks creepy, doesn't he? All right. Raise your hand if you would call him an online predator.
No.
Okay, this is so funny because when there's boys in the classroom, almost all of them raise their hand. When it's girls, only very few. Thank you. Yes, he is an online sex offender. In reality, of course, he's 25, she's only 14. Now, would you consider him an online offender? Yeah. Definitely. Okay. And actually, you need to be aware that there is a state law in Alabama that says if you are 16 or younger, you're not supposed to have a relationship with somebody more than 2 years older than you. So a 14-year-old dating a 25-year-old, not a good idea. Okay, so just be aware of that. Like I said, an online predator, they go through a grooming process. They're trying to win you over as a friend to make you think that nobody in the world cares about you as much as they do. They'll even try to convince you they're your soulmate. They will want to send you gifts, for example. Part of that is to find out where you live, to get your address. We've heard of cases where they would send money, they would send clothes, games, a cell phone so you can talk to them without your parents knowing about it, maybe a bus ticket so you can come see them without your parents knowing, whatever it takes to win you over. When really what they want to do is just, of course, to meet you offline and do heavens knows what. Typically, people think that only girls are victims to online predators, when in reality, boys are just as likely as girls. And when I say that to boys, of course, they don't want to hear that. But it does happen. In fact, this next video, this is a true story of two boys that were actually victimized. Now, these reenacted, that's not the victims and it's not their name, but it is, a true story.
It happened to be 5 years ago. My parents were divorcing and things at school and with friends weren't too good. I felt like the world was falling down around me. That's when I met someone online. We would chat about everything in my life. I finally had someone to take my side and see things my way. I had someone to put me first. No matter how much I thought we could trust each other, I knew better than to meet in person with someone I had met on the internet. But one day, when school was dismissed early, there was someone waiting for me at my front door. I never thought I'd find myself in this situation. I learned the hard way that no matter who you think you're talking to online, there are people out there looking to hurt you. It doesn't matter if they're male or female, or if they look a little rough around the edges, or even if they're the most beautiful person. These people exist, online and in the real world.
It happened to me too. I was 14 and someone online sent me a private message. I shouldn't have responded, but I messaged back and 7 days later, agreed to be picked up outside of my house at midnight. I was taken to another house and what happened there was terrifying. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I felt numb and powerless and didn't know what to do. I was too afraid to tell my parents and ashamed of what everyone would think of me. But hiding it was a mistake. I saw the car that I was taking and driving around my neighborhood all summer long. Was I being targeted then, or was someone else being victimized? I finally decided to tell someone.
I have to live with the decision I made to trust someone I met on the internet.
But the important thing is that I told someone. I'm not a victim, but a survivor.
Okay, if someone is approaching you online in an inappropriate way and wants to meet you offline or something like that, first of all, please tell somebody. Tell your teacher, tell your parents, tell the counselor, tell somebody. But you can also report it to cybertipline.com. This website is on your list. This is in connection with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they have the resources to thoroughly investigate all reports that are made to them, and they can even get local police involved if they need to. So remember that, cybertipline.com or 1-800-THE-LOST. And also, please know that an online offender, they don't just go after one child, one teenager. They have many victims, and they need to be stopped. So please report it if you know that that's happening to you or to somebody that you know. Cyberbullying, just like what it sounds like, using technology to bully people. Sending mean messages, mean emails, threatening text messages, even posting a fight video. Somebody getting hurt really bad, you put it on YouTube, that's a form of cyberbullying. It can have devastating effects nowadays. You even hear, unfortunately, in situations where a teenager might actually commit suicide as a result of it. You hear that all the time on the news. Not too long ago, I saw a girl on the news, national news, that attempted suicide. Fortunately, she was not successful. But she admitted that she felt like that was the only way she could stop the cyberbullying, was to take her own life. But she also admitted that she never told anybody how she felt and that she did want to commit suicide and so forth. So if it's happening to you, please tell somebody about it. Like I said, it can have devastating effects. This next video shows you just how devastating it can be.
I heard about a lot of things my friends were doing online that were really mean or just plain crazy. I never thought I would do anything like that. One day my friend Pat showed me a website he made. He posted a list of girls in our school and had guys we know go on and rate them. Sort of a hot or not kind of website. I thought it was pretty funny, so I rated them too. We had a good laugh and I thought that was the end of it. The next day everyone at school was talking about it. He had sent it out to the whole school to see. I could tell a couple of girls had been crying, and I knew it was because of what the guys had said about them and how they looked. I felt bad, but I didn't really get it until I went home that night. Turns out the guys had put my little sister on the site too, but hid it from me because they knew I would get upset. She was crying when I got home and she wouldn't even look at me. I would never have said those things to someone's face. I didn't even mean them. I thought it was just a joke between friends. Now Pat's suspended from school, and they might kick me out too. Once you put something online, you lose control of it. You can never get it back. People can use it in ways you never even meant. I learned that the hard way. I wish I never saw that stupid site.
Like it was saying that they might be expelled from school, you might have some consequences at school if you're saying stuff like that, if it can be considered harassment, especially if you're making comments like that on your cell phone or whatever when you're at school. Definitely you can get in trouble. So just be aware of that. You see the conversation that's going on here? Once again, you have a choice to make. You can either join into the conversation, simply laugh about it, or ignore it. But the best thing to do is to report it. By not reporting it, you can actually be causing a bad situation to get even worse. So if you know that somebody's being cyberbullied, help them out. Please report it to somebody. Okay? If it's happening to you, first of all, try not to respond to it, and I know that's hard. When somebody says something ugly to you or calls you a bad name, it's just human nature to want to say something ugly back. But don't, because then you'll be just as guilty as they are. You might be able to block them from sending you messages, depending on the type of phone you have and the phone carrier that you have. Definitely save the evidence. If you're being threatened, you really might need to get the police involved. My daughter recently, she's in her mid-20s, a guy that she worked with started sending her harassing text messages, calling her names, saying horrible stuff to her, threatening her, and even his girlfriend got involved and started sending messages. Well, she saved the text messages, showed it to her boss, and needless to say, the guy was fired. He said, we're not going to have somebody like that working here. But she had the evidence to show what was being said. So if it's happening to you, please save the evidence. Print it out. You can get printouts of text messages. By the way, keep that in mind. Your parents can get copies of your text messages. I think most phone companies, within 3 days of the message being sent, they can request copies of it. So it can be a good thing if you need to prove that you're being harassed. But then again, keep in mind your parents can see stuff like that if you're doing it. So a little word of advice there. You might want to set up a new account, maybe change your cell phone number. That might help stop the bullying. But definitely, please tell a trusted adult if it's happening to you. Please report it. This is a situation where a guy got arrested for creating a hate group or a hate page on Facebook, created a phony Facebook page and was making fun of a group of girls. If it can be considered a hate crime, things that you're saying, cyberbullying, you're making fun of somebody's race or of their lifestyle choice or so forth, and it can be classified as a hate crime, you can get into some very serious trouble for that. So once again, be aware of that. Don't get yourself into a lot of trouble. And also, too, keep in mind that when you're using technology, you leave a digital trail. You might think that somebody won't be able to find out that you're saying all this stuff, but in reality, they possibly could. Because, like I said, you're leaving a digital trail. They can trace it back to you, in some cases to the actual computer that it came from. So, be aware of that. And I know with the school board, with everybody having the MacBooks, I know they're monitoring some of the activities. We actually had a situation where a girl was being groomed by a male substitute teacher. Started off very innocent, sending candy. It started progressing. The school actually found out about it because she was logging into Facebook at school, bypassing the servers and so forth, and they found out about it. So just keep in mind, somebody's watching, Once again, you put it out there on the internet, anybody could see it. Your teachers, parents, online offenders and so forth, future employers. They do look at the internet nowadays a lot of times before they will interview somebody for a job. I've heard of several employers tell me that. They will Google somebody's name, see what they can find out about them. Even college recruiters will try to find out what type of pictures people are, kids are posting on the internet if they can, to see, if they are big partiers or something like that. If they're going to pay you a scholarship or give you a scholarship to go to college, that's thousands of dollars. They're going to want to make sure that they're not only getting possibly a good athlete or a good student, but also somebody that has a good reputation. You hear a lot of times, for example, Michael Phelps, after he won all those Olympic medals, somebody took a picture of him where he was actually smoking marijuana, put it on the internet, had devastating effects. He lost thousands of dollars in sponsorship money because of that. With cell phones nowadays, cameras on them, you never know who's watching you and can put stuff on the internet. Some college recruiters will actually require you to allow them to be a friend of yours on Facebook so they can monitor what you're doing. And I actually had a volunteer that worked for us that was a student at the University of Mobile. She also worked for them as well. Said they would send friend requests to some of the students for the purpose of really monitoring what they're doing on Facebook. If they start making bad grades, they start missing a lot of class, they posted all these pictures about partying, they may actually be called in and said, hey, we know what's going on here, either get serious about school or we're going to kick you out. There again, just be aware of that. And that goes back to that publicandpermanent.com. How many of you have digital cameras? Okay, real popular. Have a memory card in there. The memory card gets full, can't take any more pictures. So you probably download the pictures to your computer or print them off or whatever and delete them. But they're really not gone. They're on that memory card. You can't pull it up with your camera, but if you go to Google something like how to retrieve deleted pictures from memory card, it takes 5 minutes to download free software where you can retrieve those deleted pictures. Now that could be a good thing if you deleted a picture that you wanted. You could go back and retrieve it. And that's all the pictures that have been on that memory card. You can retrieve them. But it could be a bad thing. The creator of that website, publicandpermanent.com, I saw him at a conference and he said there was a young man that went to a yard sale, bought somebody's old digital camera, still had the memory card in there, took the camera home, had the software to retrieve all the pictures that had been deleted, actually saw some nude pictures of his neighbor. Not exactly what he bargained for, and that would have been embarrassing for his neighbor, but it was still on the memory card, and you can pull up that sort of stuff. So it's definitely permanent, and it could be private, public. I mean, anybody could see it. I saw this, the creator, like I said, his name is Richard Gary, at another conference, and he told his story about how he was in an airport waiting to catch a flight, talking to a gentleman sitting next to him. The gentleman was finding out what type of business he had and so forth, what he did. And he took out his cell phone and he said, you mean somebody could see this picture? And he showed him a nude picture of his girlfriend. He said, you mean somebody could see this picture? And as they're sitting there talking, another guy sitting close by took out his cell phone and took a picture of that picture. So see, it's public. Anybody could see it. And then the guy went on to say, you mean my wife could see this too? Wow. Having a wife and having nude pictures of his girlfriend. Not smart, okay? All of the videos that I showed you today, you can see them at nsteens.org or Net Smartz. And there's actually a lot more videos that I hope you'll check out. A lot of good information about internet safety and so forth. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, thank y'all very much. Please take this handout home. Check out these websites. By the way, Net Smartz is a very safe website, and it's not filtered because it is safe. You can actually pull it up at school. And I think some of the other ones you might also be able to pull up, with your Mac rules. Okay? Well, thank y'all very much.